Today's about Senate Bill 2146, which basically increases the diversions back to the city from 18.5 to 20% over 2 years.
And why is that important?
Well, just for the city of Kosciuszko, it's roughly about $160,000–$170,000 a year. When you talk about paving streets or anything, that's a big deal for us. It keeps us from going in the hole so much, and we have many streets that need to be paved, many water lines, sewer lines that need to be repaired, and this will be a tremendous help to us.
Today's press conference was to promote Senate Bill 2146. This is a bill that would increase the diverted amount of sales tax that goes back to cities from 18.5 to 20 over a 2-year period. Sales tax that's generated from a city, obviously gets paid to the Department of Revenue, and then they divert an amount back to the city. So we have a bill that would increase that to 20% over the next 2 years.
What does that mean for the people?
That means that all of our cities will have more revenue. Obviously, the bigger the city, the more sales tax that's collected, the revenue will be greater. But this revenue has to be used for paving streets, for water and sewer. So for citizens in the cities, it means their city will have more revenue to address potholes and bridges and water and sewer issues. So it's a win for the citizens, obviously.
It is not an increase in sales tax. It's not an increase on the taxpayer at all. All it is doing is giving a little more money back to the cities and towns that they generate to start with. And it allows them to spend more money on infrastructure as far as roads, repaving roads, sewer lines, water lines, anything to do with infrastructure in our towns and our cities where they can grow and encourage more business and more economic development in their area.
And what part do you play?
Currently, I also serve on the House Ways and Means Committee, and that bill came over from the Senate once it passed. It came over to the House Ways and Means Committee, and we're in the process of working, trying to get it out of that committee so we can bring it to the House floor for a vote.
This is a bill that was not brought to me by MML. This is a bill that I saw the need in our area, had some discussions on how we could maybe get some more revenue back to the cities to deal with some struggles that they've had in infrastructure. And when they saw that I was introducing, of course, MML found a mutual friend in this course. So I'm proud to work with them and proud to try to make a difference.
So why is this bill important for the people?
Well, there are a few times where we can have this body here come together and meet and on a common cause, and this is not a political issue. This is a struggle that our cities have, and we can come together as Democrats, Republicans, and make a difference to hopefully provide some resources and some funding back to the municipalities through the diversion that will be designated for infrastructure that can improve the streets and can improve some of the needs we have.
Sure. And we thank you all for joining us here today. We're just here to support and show our strong support with this group behind me for Senate Bill 2146. Over 76% of sales tax collected in the cities around the state. This bill would increase the diverted amount back to cities from 18.5 to 20% over the next 2 years. This increase is designated for infrastructure, and I think every mayor behind me back here supports that and is glad to have it as it is. But it would help us improve the climate for our economic development and just our communities overall, which ultimately helps the state. This is not an increase in sales tax. It's just a diversion that gets us back to where it was in the 90s when it was increased to 7%. So we're very thankful and grateful for this, and thank you for the support of the senators behind us here, and for Lieutenant Governor Tate Reeves, for the Senate Finance Committee Chairman Joey Fillingame for their support and their help to get this passed. At this time, I'm going to introduce Senator David Parker from DeSoto County and thank him especially for introducing this and for all he's done to help us get this. So, Senator Parker, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And just as a little historical perspective on this, back in the 1950s, the diversion back to municipalities began, and it began at a time where sales tax was much lower. At that time, the way the statute was set up, it worked out where about 25% of that tax, if a municipality put it in place, would actually be collected, and of that, 20% would go back to the municipality. And so as a result, we had the precedent set that 20% was the number that the municipality should be getting back. As we've seen over many years, the state sales tax rate has changed, and as that has happened, the legislature has made many adjustments to the diversion amount. It has varied between 18.5%, it's been to 19, it's been back to 20. And at this point right now, with the struggles that we have with infrastructure, with some of the changes that we have in our streets and other conditions, it's time for us to bring some of that money back to our municipalities. And what this will do, and what this will do, and I'm proud of this because it's very rare in this body that we get the amount of bipartisan support that we've had on this bill. On the Senate side, we had close to 30 authors and co-authors, which is a very high number. I expect on the House side that we're going to gain some equally strong support. But as we phase this in over time, the good thing about this is that I think we're going to see some more jobs created. We're going to see some people put back to work. And I think when people ask you the questions of how are we going to pay for this, we're going to pay for this by putting people to work, and they're going to drive more money into our economy. And as a result, this is something that I think we can do. We can do it this year, and we should do it this year. So I thank my colleagues here from the Senate, the ones who stepped out here. We are dealing with some bills right now, and so we felt strongly enough about this to take a moment out of those deliberations and come here. We can't stay for too long, but I'm glad to have this opportunity to bring this, and at this time I think we'll turn it over to Representative Rushing, who's going to say a few words too, so thank you.
Thank you, Senator Parker. I'm Randy Rushing, Representative House District 78, Municipalities Chair, and I support this bill 100%. I appreciate Senator Parker and the Senate passing it out. Folks, this is an investment in our communities throughout the state. It's not picking out one particular area of this state. This money diverted back to our towns who generate, as Mr. Carcroft said, it's generated 70% of the sales tax coming into the state, over 70% is generated by our towns and our cities. And this is just an investment back in our communities. What we've seen here in the city of Jackson as far as water and in the streets here, the problems they're having is multiplied throughout the state. Every city and town in this state is having the same problems at their level. And this money is going back into these communities for infrastructure, and the money's going to be, as Senator Parker said, it's going to be reinvested, and it's going to come back to the state in the form of income tax in other ways, because it's going to stimulate every one of these economies, because it's going to drive streets to be paved, it's going to be sewer lines laid, water lines replaced. It's such a vital part, and as a prior mayor of a small town, I can't emphasize how important this bill is, and we're going to do our best to try and see that it gets through the House committees and onto the floor. And I'm like Senator Parker, I think we'll see strong bipartisan support on the House floor, and I expect that to happen, and I'm really excited about it, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Chairman Rushing. I'm Sherry Vize. I'm the director of the Municipal League. And I just want to say a thank you to the mayors and the city elected officials on the stairs behind me for coming here today. This is a historic day for the Municipal League and for our cities. I've been with the League 12 years, and we've tried several times over the last 12 years to get the diversion increased. And we've been successful this year thanks to Senator Parker and all of these senators standing behind me, and the several other senators that co-sponsored this bill, and for Randy Rushing's support in the House. So just give yourselves another round of applause for being here and being part of this event. I'd just like to say to our members here to please stick around after the press conference. If you can find your House member and talk with them, or go sit in the gallery when they go in this afternoon, that would be great. We'd love for them to see your face and to know that you're here to support this bill.
It benefits the people in your local communities, especially in your towns and cities, because the cities and towns government will have more money to operate with, and it may take the burden of them having to raise taxes on their local citizens to pave that road or lay that water line, because now they're getting more money, sales tax money, from the state to do those same projects. So it takes a little relief off the local governments, and hopefully keeps them from having to raise taxes on their citizens in their communities.
The sales tax diversion has not been increased since the early, I think it was actually decreased in the early 90s. So we've just tried several times since then to get a diversion increase with no luck. But I do think that there's a lot more attention on the needs of infrastructure across our state. And there's been a lot of discussion here at the Capitol. There have been several task forces over the last couple of years that have studied the issue. So I think that we've been successful mainly because there's been more of a spotlight put on what a critical issue it is in our state, and it's an economic development issue. We've got to address our streets, our bridges, our water and sewer so we can move forward in creating more jobs through economic development.
I'm excited that the bill has made it this far. I commend the Senate and Senator Parker on getting it passed on the Senate. I'm going to do everything I can to see if we can get it passed on the House and fund some projects in our communities and our cities and towns.
I just would like to thank Senator David Parker and Chairman Randy Rush and the Municipalities Committee on the House side for their support. You know, we've been here a lot of years and kind of left empty-handed, and it's great to have their support and great to work together with the league and the legislature here to help our communities. So we're just very thankful for both of them and the Senate and the House as well. So thank them.